Hallo zusammen, wir sind gerade am Zürich Open Air und wir treffen uns gerade mit Superorganism. Viel Spaß!
Last weekend we were at MS Stockwell in Hamburg. How was the gig? We saw you.
Oh, you guys saw us there, did you?
Yes.
Oh man, that was great. We didn't have our visuals though, I don't think, did we?
No.
At that gig, it was only lights, I think.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But today you have it then?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's like a big LED wall in the tent today, so it's gonna be way more intense.
Yeah. So it'll be a different show for you, so that's good. It'll be a little bit different, yeah. But no, Hamburg was really fun.
It was fun. I think that when we don't have the visuals, we kind of compensate by playing really, really hard. So it was a very high energy show. I think it was really cool.
How was the crowd?
Yeah, great, man, great.
Yeah.
We've played a couple of times before in Germany and had people kind of not really sure what, you know, like you play sometimes and the crowd's like a little bit still and a little bit unsure of whether or not they want to get into it, and we've had that a couple of times in Germany, but that one was fucking great. They were just, everyone was getting into it, like jumping around and stuff, singing. But I saw a girl like standing on someone's shoulders at one point. It's great. Yeah.
I think the fact that it was quite late in the evening probably had something to do with it. I know the Germans like drinking beer, so they probably had like 10 beers, and that probably made us seem way better.
Same here, to be fair. Same here.
Same here.
Make way, I'm in my Pepsi mood. Mama needs food, how about a barbecue for us?
There's not really things that make me angry on stage. I guess that it can be a little bit infuriating when you're trying to get a response from the crowd and they just kind of stand there like staring at you like. But that doesn't make me angry.
That emotion for me is, it makes me feel a bit embarrassed because we're kind of being, like I'm doing some silly dance moves on stage. So if people are just looking at me looking confused, I feel embarrassed, not angry. Maybe I get angry when the smoke machine gets in my throat and I can't sing.
Oh dude, I know one thing that got me angry. There's two things that have got me angry when we played before. One was that we had the smoke machine one time that it was like scented smoke. So you know, like a vape, like it was like a really big vape. Like someone was vaping and it was like, do you remember what the smell was? Do you remember that in Madrid or something? Anyway, that was bad because when you're trying to sing, you don't want like bubblegum scented vape smoke blowing around your face or whatever the hell that was. The other thing is, one time we were playing at a festival and there was a band on a stage directly opposite us sound checking, and they were still sound checking when we started the set, and that's like a weird clash. That's the closest I get to angry on stage.
Feeling like a boss and staring at the stars. It doesn't matter the cost, 'cause everybody wants to be famous.
I'd say that angry is one of the emotions I never really experience on stage. I can't really think of it many times.
It's hopeful.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What's the story behind your name?
Behind the name? Well, we were kind of discussing, like, I remember around the start of the band, like, we had quite a lot of, like, random conversations on just, you know, like, group conversations and stuff online. And we were just discussing, like, various kind of buzzy concepts and futuristic stuff, and, you know, we were talking a lot about, like, the internet and how, you know, like, interconnectivity is kind of enhancing this kind of worldwide consciousness in a way. Like, we're all becoming more aware of each other, not just within this band, but like as a culture and as a species. I think we're sharing our thoughts more freely and faster than ever before and all that sort of thing. And so we just kind of started thinking, I think, about like the concept that, you know, eventually we become this one big global consciousness, and each human is quite smart in their own way, but like all of us together are way smarter. And I think that kind of just led us down the path. We just started thinking about like words that represented that, and once we figured superorganism, we were like, that just, it sits right, we just like it.
And we, as a band, are also a superorganism. We all work together to create. So it works on a macro level and a micro level really well. Yeah.
That sounds very close to superorgasm.
That's good.
That's just cool. It's been misheard so much that like it's just become its own little thing. and it's just funny.
Yeah.
That's why I mention it.
The amount of times that people have said to us, like, oh, that song made me have a super orgasm, and they look at us like, hey, and it's like, yeah, we heard it. We know, we've heard that one.
Okay, so at the beginning, or maybe until now, I don't know, you've written your songs via email. You just written each other per Skype or via email. And how did that work? I think that sitting in one room together while writing the songs is essential. You don't think so?
Definitely not essential. I think that you're doing the same thing essentially over distance. You don't need to be present to be sharing ideas with each other anymore. That's a unique thing to this era of music making, particularly. You know, even 15 years ago, I felt like the internet in New Zealand, there was this ad. Do you guys remember that telecom ad? There was this ad where basically it was these musicians like sending a file to each other, and one person started like with a drum beat or something, then sent it to the next person that laid down a bass line, then sent it to the next person, and they built up, and it was this ad. And I remember seeing that ad back in like, this was when I was a kid, I can't even remember when, like early 2000s. Yeah. And it was like, I remember being like, wow, that's so cool, that's so amazing, I'd love to be able to work like that. That's such a great way of working. You can work with people wherever. And it blew my mind. But then I remember like getting I think it was advertising broadband, like it had just come out, it was just after dial-up internet. And I remember getting that first thing of broadband and then trying to like figure out how I could like quickly be sending files around. And it was not fast enough for that.
And I don't think we would have, or at that age, we wouldn't be savvy enough sending like workable material, and it would have been so large to send over like first wave of broadband.
Yeah. In New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Yeah, I remember like some of the earliest recordings that I ever did when I was really young. My friend had slightly faster internet, so he downloaded them, and then I think maybe put them on a CD and then brought it to school the next day to give to me because it was so slow. So I remember seeing that ad and being like, wow, that's such a cool way of working, and that's such an amazing thing that we can do that now. You can share these ideas and people can collaborate that aren't necessarily like, they're not necessarily in the same place and stuff. And anyway, now here we are like 15 years later or whatever, like we actually did that, and it works so well. Like it gives people space to kind of do their own thing, make their own contributions. You can make it as big or little as you want. We have done a little bit recently of like playing together in the same room and stuff now that we are all living in the same city, and it's funny because in a lot of ways it kind of doesn't feel that ultimately different as a workflow, because you're still bringing the same kind of tastes and influences into play. It's just that it's more instantaneous when you're in the same room. So personally, I don't think it's like a necessity to create good stuff.
How did it come that you've written a song called "Everybody Wants to Be Famous"?
I think that's that one kind of came about as just a realization that the modern world and with social media and stuff, and again it's due to it's kind of back to that interconnectivity concept, is that like everybody's striving for this like notoriety or some sort of like notice by the people around them, like whether that's, I don't know, like someone who's good looking with an Instagram page and taking like hot selfies or whatever, or us being in a band and making music
and taking hot selfies.
They're taking hot selfies, and we're putting out there to the world, or actually, like in way more low-key ways. Like I've worked in offices before, and there's always a dude in the office who's like super proud of the fact that he's like the star employee of the office, and he's not got fame in any other way. And I just realized that like this is kind of the way that we perceive ourselves now as human beings. We've kind of entered into this like branding era where everybody is a brand and an aesthetic, and everybody is carefully sculpting this version of themselves that they're putting out there into the world and stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing either, but like I just think it's a really interesting thing. And so I guess that Everybody Wants to Be Famous is us being like self-effacing and being like, hey, yeah, we're part of that too, like we totally are. And I think everyone can kind of relate to that.
And it's cool to hear people singing along to that chorus as well. I think that kind of
it's quite catchy.
Full circle,
yeah, and because people feel it, man. Like people feel it. Everybody's ambitious, and I think especially young people. Like when you're young, it's good to be ambitious in some way, and that doesn't necessarily mean fame in the Kardashian sense of the word. It means, you know, like I say, like it means some sort of like notoriety or some sort of acclaim from your peers and the people around you. You want to be known for something, good or bad.
Japan was a really cool place to play because the crowd, for our show anyway, they were very loud and assertive, which is kind of different to what they're usually like. So I mean, I guess it doesn't really make sense I'm saying Japan for that reason I'm saying it. But yeah, my experience of playing Fuji Rock was really, it felt like we were like much bigger than we were actually, well, I perceived ourselves to be. So we felt like stars. I was like, whoa, what? Felt like a pop star, you know. So in that way, it was kind of cool.
Ed Sheeran.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Ed Sheeran.
I knew you were going to say
I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
Your pleasure?
My pleasure.
That might be guilty to other people.
Yeah.
Just say.
The pleasure that might be guilty. Robbie Williams.
Okay, just quite guilty.
And I'm going to go with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'm also not feeling guilty about that, but I think some people don't think they're very cool anymore. But I do.
Those people are wrong.
Have you ever kissed a prawn, got a cold sore? Have you ever seen a prawn kick off? Have you ever seen a prawn in a pair of handcuffs? Oh.